Hello, hello. Is this your first video with me? I don't remember. Okay. So, we've done classical conditioning, which is the first type of learning we're going to talk about. So quick warm up. All right, so I'm going to ask you a couple questions. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put up the questions, maybe jot down somewhere the answers on a scrap sheet of paper, and then I'll go over them. Okay? Okay. So here's your 5 questions. Jot down the answer somewhere, and then I'll go over them. Okay, I'm going to pause myself. So pause me. Actually, no, you pause me. And once you're ready for the answers, unpause me and I'll tell you. Okay, unpause. So number 1, what happens when Pavlov's dogs have gone through acquisition? They salivate to the bell. So remember, acquisition means they have acquired that response. They now respond to that conditioned stimulus. Okay? All right, number 2. How could extinction occur with Pavlov's dogs? That would be if you ring the bell and no food comes. And ring the bell and no food comes. And ring, eventually the bell rings and they stop salivating. Okay? All right, 3. How could spontaneous recovery occur with Dwight in the office? So, if Jim basically kept doing his computer noise and did not offer him a mint, over time it would go extinct, right? So spontaneous recovery would be if he started doing the computer noise and offering the mint again. So he had to start pairing, right, that conditioned stimulus again with the unconditioned stimulus. Okay? Alright, so number 4, how could generalization occur with the squirt bottle activity? We talked about this a little bit, but if you basically started squirting them with words that sound similar to can, so pan, man, tan, and you start squirting then they would react to similar sounding stimuli. Okay, and last one, how could discrimination occur with little Albert? Is if they started doing that loud sound just with rats and not with the bunnies or the weird creepy face or things like that. Okay? Alright. So today we're going into our second learning style, and this is the one that I think we're a little bit more familiar with when it comes to understanding learning. That last one here. So anyway, this is operant conditioning. And so it's still about behaviorism and teaching a behavior, but it's not like classical conditioning. Okay, so the difference. In classical conditioning, do the organisms, the dogs, okay, or the people, have to do anything to learn a response? The answer is no, it comes naturally, it comes automatically. So for example, the dogs aren't saying, okay, ready, salivate, go. Ready, oh, there's a light, salivate. They're not doing anything. It's a natural response that's happened because two things get paired. Okay, so again, with like the water squirting, it's not like, okay, ready, flinch to the word can. It's just a natural reaction. Okay, it's automatic. Well, in operant conditioning, they have to actually do something, and they know that they have to do something in order to learn. Okay, that's why it's called operant, because they have to operate. They have to do something. Okay, so let's talk about what they have to do. Okay, so a long time ago, there's a guy named Thorndike, and he came up with the law of effect. And the law of effect, pretty simple, says that rewarded behavior is likely to occur again. So, if I give out candy for deep thoughts, which I do, right? Okay, if I get candy, then people are going to be more likely to want to do it again, because I'm rewarding them. That's the goal, at least. Now, if you get an A at the end of the semester and your parents give you $100, then you are more likely to do it again. So that's his law of effect. Rewarded behavior is likely to occur again. And that's just something as humans, we like reward. Now, we'll get to this later about it has to be a good reward, but we'll get there. So in order to basically, how he figured this out is he came up with this puzzle box down here. And he put cats in there. Poor cats. Anyway, he put cats in there, and they had to escape. And they could escape. There's kind of this lever that they had to press, and eventually they would. And they would get a little fish afterwards. And so kind of what you see is, over here, after you put them in the box, they randomly do it. They put them in the box, they randomly do it. But eventually they start to figure out that there's something to this. So they start doing it on purpose. And then the more times you put them in the box, the quicker they get out. So basically they've learned by reward, by the fish. Okay? So reward behavior is likely to occur again. Okay, well, so that was Thorndike. Then this guy, I'm so sorry for his hairstyle, but it accentuates his forehead. But anyway, this is a famous guy. This is a list that you will need to know at the end of the year. B.F. Skinner. Skinner. He's the name you need to know. All right. Well, he developed the Skinner box, and similar to the puzzle box, but it's a little bit different. So the Skinner box, also known as the operant chamber, there's your fancy word, but he used rats. And what happened, basically, he used this box to train rats to do behaviors that were not natural to them. He started with rats, and then he's going to use pigeons. So you saw the pigeons playing ping pong. Well, it all started with this right here, this operant chamber. And then you saw the rats playing basketball, which I love that movie or video. I'm sad that I didn't get to see you watch it because it's awesome. So yeah, there's those two videos. Okay, so how in the world do you get a rat to play basketball? And how do you get a pigeon to play ping pong, essentially? Because those are not natural things. Okay, so the Skinner box. Look at that little rat. Okay, so over here, if you can see, there's a food delivery mechanism. Don't know. And you can kind of see, this is the inside. So here's the rat, and there's water there. There's a dispenser for food, and there's a light. There's a speaker so you can talk to the rat. And there's a lever. Okay. So how this works is you start off, and first the rat needs to learn that treats or food comes through this dispenser. So that's what will happen first, is they send food there. And then they can teach them slowly. So how do you teach a rat to twirl around if that's not a natural thing? Well, you think about it the same way as, like, how do you teach a kid? How do I teach Hanley how to play soccer? You have to start really basic. And so right now, she's terrible. But I get, like, really pumped for her if she does something small. Right? So she kicks it, and it's a terrible kick, but she kicks it, and I'm like, yes, way to go, girl. Because if you think about it, kicking a soccer ball is not really a natural behavior, right? Okay, so here for this rat, couple things is, one, you can teach it to press the lever and it gets food. Well, how does it even learn that in the first place? Well, it stumbles upon it accidentally. It's curious, it's looking around, it presses the lever, and boom, it comes out. Then again, randomly, boom, it presses it, comes out. Well, slowly over time, it'll realize that this lever is causing it, and then it's like, yes, no. Okay, so let's teach it how to twirl around. Well, what's going to happen is anytime the rat starts to turn left, because we turn left, a reward will come. And they're like, oh, that's random. And then they do it again, randomly. And then, basically, eventually they're going to learn that a behavior gets a reward. Okay, and that's really what operant conditioning is all about, are rewards and punishments. And so if you think about a rat playing basketball, maybe you put a ball in there, and if they go towards the ball, they get a treat. They go towards the ball, but then you got to stop rewarding them just for going towards the ball, right? Eventually, I'm not going to cheer loudly if Hanley toe balls the soccer ball in the wrong direction, right? Eventually, I got to get to to the next behavior. So maybe the rat goes over there and touches the ball. Boom, give him a treat. But then you got to do something else. Eventually, if it starts to like play with it a little bit, then you give him a treat. And so that's ultimately kind of how the operant chamber works. Okay. I would love to have a volunteer to do this, but I can't. So this is very similar to this word, okay, called shaping. There's your soccer, really anything. But shaping is all about shaping a behavior in the way you want it to go with rewards. And it's basically saying you have to go little by little, gradually to that goal. I can't just say, hey, Hanley, hit a ball upper 90. And like, oh, you suck if you can't do it. I have to gradually reward her, but I'll slowly give up on rewarding her for little stuff as she gets more proficient. So there's your fancy definition. Reinforcers guide behavior towards the desired target behavior through successive approximations. Successive means one after another. And approximations, you're slowly getting closer to the desired goal. Little by little, you're rewarding them. Okay, so eventually I'll reward her for just using the right part of her foot. And then it'll be for whatever. It's little by little. And you can do this for all kinds of things. Teaching someone how to play an instrument, obviously other sports, really anything. Bethany, I'm trying to teach her. She can clap. But eventually clapping's like lame. I gotta teach her something else. Okay. So let's get into rewards and punishments. So operant conditioning is all based on rewards and punishments. So I guess we have to understand the idea of just what is a reward and what is a punishment. Okay, so a reinforcement is what we're going to call rewards. Okay, so I think you write this down on your worksheet. A reinforcement is anything that is going to strengthen a behavior. And strengthen means you want to do it again. Right? So here's your official. Any event that strengthens the behavior it follows. Okay? So think about all the things that teachers do to reward you. It can be verbal, like, way to go. It can be high fives. It can be candy. It can be dollar bills. I don't know what teachers are doing that, but hugs. Anything that strengthens the behavior. Okay, so how could I strengthen your studying habits? Money. You study for an hour, you get $50. Sound good? Okay, so that's a reinforcement. This goes up at the top. Reinforcement, anything that strengthens the behavior. And then punishment is anything that decreases the behavior. So you want the behavior to occur less often. So what could I do to decrease your talking in class? How can I decrease that? I could give you detention. I could shock you. You put a shock collar on you anytime you talk. I could slap you. Lose my job. Just giving you examples here. I could put you in timeout. Okay. So reinforcement strengthens the behavior, punishment decreases the behavior. Okay, so now we're going to go to the little chart at the bottom. Before we get there, you have to drill this into your head. Okay? We're going to talk about positive reinforcement and positive punishment and negative reinforcement and negative punishment. Okay, so get this out of your head, okay? Positive doesn't mean good here. Just like when we talked about correlations, a positive correlation, positive doesn't mean good. And negative doesn't mean bad here. Okay? Just like a negative correlation. It has nothing to do with good and bad. Okay, this is what positive does mean. Positive means to give, and negative means to take away. So actually, I think I want you to write that where just on your chart in general where it says positive and negative, write positive means give, and negative means take away. And by the way, you guys can pause me whenever you need to if you're taking notes. Okay, positive means give, negative means take away. Now, what the heck are you talking about? Alright, let me explain. Okay. I think your worksheet looks like this. Make sure if I messed it up one year. So. Okay. So, positives, so basically you're going to hear a positive reinforcement and a negative reinforcement. Positive punishment and negative punishment. Okay, so think about this. Positive reinforcement. I want to increase your behavior by giving you something. So, I want to add a desirable stimulus. That's the fancy way of saying this. Or, my way of saying it is, I want to give you something good to make you do it again. Give you something good. So, what can I give you? I'm going to give you cookies for A's. Get an A on this test, I'll give you cookies. Again, pause me if you want to. But I'm giving good. Giving good. Okay? Now, positive punishment. So, again, punishment's bad. We don't like punishment. So that's why positive doesn't mean like, oh, this is good punishment. No. So, punishment means I'm trying to decrease your behavior by giving you something. Okay, so here's a technical thing, is give an aversive stimulus. What does aversive mean? You do not like it. That's what it means. So, give, in my words, you're going to give something bad so I can decrease your behavior. So what can I give you that would decrease your behavior? I could, okay, maybe not you. We'll talk about like my kid maybe. Okay, I could give a spanking for misbehaving, right? That's giving something. And it's trying to decrease the behavior. Okay, we talked about giving a shock, right? Giving something that's bad. Because you want to decrease the behavior. Alright, let's go to negative. Alright, so I think we're going to go down to negative reinforcement. Alright, I want to increase, this is, okay, just so you know, if you want to put a star by this one, this is the one that people struggle with the most. Okay, so I want to increase your behavior. I want you to do it again. So let's say I want you to study again. Okay? But I'm taking away something. So, fancy thing is saying you're removing an aversive stimulus. So you're getting rid of an aversive, something you don't like. So, my words, I'm taking away something bad. Take away bad. So if I want you to study, I want to increase that behavior, what can I take away that's bad, that you don't like? So what about this? As a class, I could take away your homework because you did great in class today. See that? Something bad there is homework. So I'm taking away something bad. A common one is like as a coach. Man, you guys had such a good practice today. I want to increase that behavior. You know what? I'm going to take away our sprints at the end. No more running afterwards. So something that they don't like, if you take it away, it's going to make them happy, right? It's going to make them happy, so it's going to increase the behavior. So that, again, that's the toughest one right there. All right, and the last one, negative punishment. So I'm trying to decrease the behavior. Decrease it. I don't like the behavior. So let's say we're talking in class. So I'm going to take away. What am I going to take away here? If it's a punishment, I'm going to take away something you do like. Right? Wouldn't that punish you? So withdraw a desirable stimulus. Or you take away something good. Your parents do this all the time. If they're mad at you, I think. Or you did something bad. What do they take away? Your phone. Okay? If you did something bad, they take away your phone. I've heard of parents taking away like the Wi-Fi password. I think that's hilarious. Okay. How do you feel? Feel good? Good. All right, what I want you to do is flip over your worksheet, and I want you to, there's another chart, same exact thing. I want you to draw an example, and you can like title it so I know what's happening. So draw an example of each one. So you're going to do 4 of these. Here's the kicker. You can't do something that, an example that I just talked about. Okay, so you have to come up with your own example. Sound good? Okay. Pause me and do that. Okay, you're back. It's funny pretending that you paused me. One thing I want to talk about real quick is punishment, because punishment is a tricky topic that, like spanking, for example, a lot of people are against it. They say that it teaches bad things. So I do want to give you some of the argument against it. Now, this says, although there may be some justification for occasional punishment, it usually leads to negative effects. So, like, as a parent right now of a 3-year-old, I'm learning a lot about punishment. There's some things that I'm like, that's time out. Boom, that's time out. Especially if it's, like, something dangerous that they know they shouldn't do. But let's talk about some of the negatives. If it's a kind of extreme punishment, it can basically lead to fearing the adult or the punisher, right? Especially if it's the kidding. It does not give a whole lot of information. A lot of times punishment can happen without good justification or good explanation. Okay? It can justify pain to others. So this comes with hitting a lot, but if that's the punishment, it's teaching them that pain is okay in certain situations. Causes unwanted behaviors to reappear in its absence. So what that's saying is, if you just use punishment, then whenever it's not there, the parent's not around, then that it can kind of creep in. It causes aggression, right? And that's essentially the same thing. Sometimes it causes one unwanted behavior to appear in place of another. I do kind of have a funny story. So, not funny. Hanley is in that age where she is starting to not want to nap. And just the other day, I like really needed her to nap. Bethany's napping. I'm like, come on, I need to do something. I don't remember what it was. And so I'm like, go take a nap. And I leave her room, and she's like, blah, 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 whatever. I go back, and I'm like, dude, you gotta take a nap, or we can't do this. We can't go here. We can't do this. Didn't work. She's like going crazy. So finally, I go back in, and I change my strategy. I'm like, I was desperate. I don't remember what I needed to get done, but something. I'm like, Haley, if you go to sleep, I will give you a cookie and a surprise afterwards. Y'all, it worked like so quickly. And in that moment, I was like, oh my gosh. I've taught this before, but it just like really clicked to me that reward really worked there instead of punishment, like very quickly. And we're going to talk about reward has its own negatives too, but we'll get there later. Okay? Okay, now you have another sheet to flip over, and there are 12 examples of reward and reinforcement and punishment. And so what you have to do is decide which is which. Positive punishment, negative punishment, positive reinforcement, or negative reinforcement. Okay? Alright, pause me and go do that. Okay. I'm going to actually wait to do that as a class on Tuesday. I see you Wednesday. So I'll do that Wednesday, just to make sure you understand it all. But I have one more thing, kind of 2 more slides I want to talk through, and then we're done. Okay, go to your last worksheet. It's got a list of reinforcement. Okay. So we have a lot of different types of reinforcement we're going to talk about. But now, when we're little, okay, some of the reinforcements that you might think about are like candy, money, what else? You get to go spend the night somewhere, whatever. So now there's two types, a primary reinforcer and a secondary reinforcer. So a primary is an innately reinforcing stimulus, like food or drink. Innately means at birth, right? It is something you naturally want. So a lot of times I think of like, okay, what would a baby want? They want food, right? They want comfort, that kind of thing. Later on, you learn a conditioned reinforcer, also known as a secondary reinforcer. And we talked about condition means learned or trained, right? So a baby, when they're little, if I gave Bethany money right now, she would eat it. It is not reinforced to her. We learn that money is valuable. We learn that over time. Hanley's learning that now. When you're in kindergarten, you get like gold stars, and you're like, yes, mom's gonna be so proud of me. But a baby, like, that's something you learn as well. That's not innately satisfying. So here it says a learned reinforcer that gets its reinforcing power through association with the primary reinforcer. And now what that means is, why is money good? Like, why do we want it? Because it gets us those primary reinforcers, right? Why is a gold star good? This is a tricky one. It can give you like self-esteem, but it also a lot of times is connected back towards your parents like being proud of you, and that's kind of an innate thing. Okay? That's primary versus secondary. Alright, one more slide. Immediate reinforcer. This is a reinforcer that occurs right after a behavior. So you get an A on a paper, and then boom, you bring it home, you get $100. Okay? Or in the Skinner box, a rat gets a food pellet for a bar press. Boom, right away, they get it. Okay? You put money into a gum dispenser, and boom, you get gum right away. The gum dispenser. Gumball machine. Alright, then a delayed reinforcer, makes sense, is basically you get the reward later. You don't get it right away. You get it later. A paycheck comes at the end of the week. So you have to work hard all week, and then you get it at the end. Now, it has been said that people who have a better ability to pursue delayed reinforcement get better jobs, better success in life, better happiness, because they're not just looking for that immediate fix. You guys are all pretty good at this because, first of all, you're juniors and seniors. You're about to graduate. You've been doing this for a long time. That delayed reinforcement, that graduation has been there, and going to college, right? You've been waiting a long time for that delayed reinforcement. And also, even just in being AP class, that means you're even better at that. Because you guys have worked even harder to wait for that reinforcement. So, you should be proud of that. And that means that you perhaps will be more successful and happier in your life than others who can't. Cool? Cool. Alright, so that's it. Yeah. Alright. Peace.